Thomas was a simple man who started his first real job at the age of 26. Like most people stepping into adulthood, he carried a quiet mix of excitement and fear. This was the beginning of responsibility. Bills. Savings. The future. He did not want to make mistakes that he had heard stories. People struggling later in life. People regretting not investing earlier. People wishing they had done things differently. So Thomas decided he would be smart from the start. He booked a meeting with a financial advisor. The advisor looked exactly how you would expect. Sharp suit. Confident posture. Calm voice. Clean office. Charts covered the walls. Diversification. Risk management. Long-term growth. The advisor spoke clearly and confidently. Every sentence sounded professional. Structured. Reassuring. Thomas felt safe. This person knew what they were doing. Without hesitation, Thomas trusted him. The advisor created a plan. Invest consistently, he said. Think long-term. Don't worry about short-term fluctuations. It sounded simple. They set up automatic investments of $500 every month. Thomas agreed. It felt responsible. It felt right. And then, life happened. Work got busy. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into years. Thomas stopped checking his investments. Not because he didn't care. But because he trusted the system. He believed everything was being handled. He believed time would do the work. Years passed quietly. No major concerns. No second thoughts. Just automatic contributions, month after month. 20 years later, at the age of 46, Thomas finally decided to log into his account again. The screen loaded slowly. He leaned forward. His total contributions, $120,000. His account balance, $287,000. For a moment, he smiled. It looked like success. More than double his money. That felt good, that felt like progress, but then something unexpected happened. His nephew, who had recently started learning about investing, asked him a simple question: how much are you paying in fees? Thomas paused that he had never thought about it. Fees? He trusted the advisor, why would he question it? But curiosity turned into concern. They decided to look deeper. At first, everything looked normal, then they started reading the fine print. There were advisor fees. There were mutual fund expense ratios, there were management costs, there were administrative charges, small numbers, barely noticeable 0.1-0.9% per year. It sounded insignificant, just a small percentage, nothing alarming. But then they did the math. Over 20 years, that 1.9% had quietly drained $73,000 from his portfolio. Thomas stared at the number. $73,000. Gone, not from losses. Not from market crashes. But from fees. And that wasn't even the full story. Because the real cost wasn't just the fees themselves. It was what those fees could have become. If that money had stayed invested. If it had compounded. If it had grown alongside his investments. His portfolio could have reached $392,000. Instead of $287,000. That's a difference of $105,000. Thomas didn't just lose money. He lost opportunity. And that realization hit harder than anything else. Because it wasn't visible. It wasn't obvious. It didn't feel like a mistake at the time. That's what makes hidden fees so dangerous. They are silent. They are automatic. They don't ask for permission. They don't trigger alarms. They simply exist in the background. Slowly. Consistently. Like a slow leak in a tire. At first, everything seems fine. The car moves normally. Nothing feels wrong. But over time, pressure drops. Performance declines. And eventually, the damage becomes unavoidable. That's exactly how fees work. A small percentage feels harmless. 1%. 1.5%. 1.9%. It doesn't sound like much. But over decades, those small numbers compound into massive losses. Two investors can follow the exact same strategy. Invest the same amount. At the same time. For the same duration. And still end up hundreds of thousands apart. Just because of fees. A 1.9% difference may seem small today. But over a lifetime, it can turn into $500,000, even $700,000. And most people never notice. Because no one highlights it. No one emphasizes it. No one explains it clearly. That realization changed Thomas completely. For the first time, he stopped assuming. He started questioning. He asked a simple but powerful question. What am I paying? He reviewed every investment. Every fund. Every charge. Every percentage. And slowly, he began to understand something important. Complexity often hides cost. The more complicated something looks, the harder it becomes to see where the money is going. He discovered low-cost index funds. Simple. Transparent. Efficient. No unnecessary layers. No hidden surprises. Just steady, long-term growth. And to his surprise, many of these simple funds were outperforming the expensive strategies he had trusted for years. That was the turning point. Thomas made changes. He shifted his investments. Reduced his costs. Simplified his portfolio. And most importantly, he changed how he thought about advice. He realized that paying an advisor a percentage of his total assets didn't always align with his best interests. Because as his money grew, so did their cut. Instead, he learned that paying for advice hourly or as a fixed fee often made more sense. Clear. Transparent. Controlled. No hidden incentives. No silent deductions. Just straightforward guidance. Thomas didn't stop investing. He didn't lose faith in the market. He didn't panic. He simply became aware. And that awareness changed everything. Now his strategy is simple. Invest consistently. Keep costs low. Avoid unnecessary complexity. Understand every fee. Because growing wealth is important. But protecting it is just as important.